From Interior Alaska's most trusted news source, this is the Fairbanks Evening News.
Good evening and thank you for joining us. I'm Stephanie Woodard. Daryl Clark is out for the evening. Our top story this evening, officials have started an assessment of the Shell drilling rig that withstood harsh weather conditions this past week. Experts spent 3 hours on the rig checking for damage and getting information for a salvage operation that could still be days or weeks away. Shell's Alaska Operations Manager Sean Churchfield said the team was limited in the amount of time it could spend on the Culloch and didn't get a full assessment of whether the seawater was leaking into tanks or other open spaces in the vessel, either from the deck or the hull. It is the estimated 143,000 gallons of diesel fuel and 12,000 gallons of other petroleum products that are on board. Due to this incident, the Natural Resources Defense Council and the Wilderness Society are calling for a halt to federal permits for Arctic offshore drilling. The two groups believe Shell has demonstrated it is not ready to drill in Arctic waters and that the risks are too large to make in one of the most fragile places on Earth. The Fairbanks Police Department has been working to catch the person responsible for the widespread burglaries of businesses happening since September of 2012. Carl E. Gage was arrested in connection with 17 burglaries and a possibility of up to 6 more. Another business was burglarized on New Year's Day, Aurora Drilling. Fairbanks police caught the suspect in action, Christopher Nuss, at 3 p.m. as they surrounded the building. Nuss had forced his way inside of the building by kicking down the door and has been charged with burglary as well as criminal mischief. FPD says this is something that does tend to happen yearly. The news center spoke with Detective Gibson of the Fairbanks Police Department about the frequency of burglaries in the interior and what is recommended to help prevent or solve the cases.
Yes, I've been doing this for about 5 years, and historically every year we go through this. Video surveillance, though, in this day and age, with Sam's Club, or other local vendors that offer as well, or stuff you can just get off the internet, a standalone unit, even a couple $100 or less, those units are just as good, if not better, than some of your more expensive units. So you can spend a lot of money, you can spend a little bit of money, but I think video surveillance is the biggest help for us to do our job.
Now, Fairbanks Police Department is still looking for any information regarding the suspect Carl E. Gage and his connection to the burglaries around the interior. Anyone with information is asked to phone FPD at 450-6500. Alaska Congressman Don Young, was sworn in today to begin serving his 21st term. He is the sole member of Congress representing Alaska in the U.S. House of Representatives. Young said he is the second most senior Republican and looks forward to working with members on both sides of the aisle, old and new, to get the American economy back on track. On the 113th Congress, Young will serve again as chairman on the Indian and Alaska Native Affairs Subcommittee and will also remain a senior member of the House Transportation and Infrastructure Committee. He told the News Center today he never ever thought he'd be there as long as he has.
I've stayed here because I do like the House, and I think it's important you have longevity in the House, so it's been fun. I can't deny that. It's still enjoyable. I still like the battle. My wife always said, you die and go into heaven. You're too old to fight anymore with your fists, so you have a chance to fight with your mouth.
A Fairbanks contractor who was attacked by an Alaska State Trooper's dog in July 2011 filed a lawsuit against the Alaska Department of Public Safety on Wednesday. The lawsuit was filed in Superior Court by attorney Bill Satterberg, who was representing James McLean. McLean was on his hands and knees painting the motorcycle training course for the department when the dog attacked. The lawsuit claims negligence by the department and the dog's handler, Trooper Brian Zeisel, who is listed as a defendant. It also alleges the violation of the Fairbanks North Star Borough Ordinance requiring animals be properly restrained, either physically or by voice control. The Canadian business G7 Generations is proposing a railway link between Alberta and Alaska for landlocked oil to market. The proposal would connect Fort McMurray, Alberta and Delta Junction with a rail line. If the rail connection were made, it backs Envision products from Alberta's vast oil sands could be inserted into the Trans-Alaska oil pipeline near Delta. Oil sands producers believe they can fetch a higher price for their product by delivering it to a port which would make it available to global market. According to G7G summary, the project would be a collaboration between G7G and First Nations tribe along the proposed route, with construction starting as early as 2015. All right, well, when we come back, we'll be looking at the feasibility of associating the town of Nenana with a borough and a special treatment for a rescued dog. That and more. Stay with us.
This edition of the Fairbanks Evening News is brought to you by Prospector Outfitters and by Kendall Auto of Fairbanks.
Welcome back. A study to determine the feasibility of creating a borough in the Nenana area is being conducted. The topic has been discussed several times in the past and in the early years was met with significant resistance. Continued development in the Nenana area, such as oil and gas exploration, bridge and road construction, and increased access to lands and resources are likely to make Nenana more attractive for annexation by neighboring boroughs. The study will consist of producing a feasibility report, conducting community meetings in each community that could be affected, and preparing a petition to form a borough if it gets that far.
It seems as though there's not a tax base down here to organize anything like that, but we can theorize all we want on probabilities without having some facts brought up. There's no real way to figure out what our susceptibility would be to anything at this point, and that's the purpose of going through this study process.
The holidays have come to a close for Alaska State Troopers, which means their holiday DUI campaign is over. Now, the campaign ran from December 12th to January 1st. Troopers arrested a total of 65 people for DUIs across the state during 3 weeks of holiday enforcement efforts. The news center spoke to Trooper spokeswoman Megan Peters, who said that the campaign led to 700 citations, ranging from seatbelt violations to DUIs. Peters also said that there is a much bigger emphasis to the campaign than just law enforcement.
Really, the biggest emphasis on our anti-DUI campaigns is the public education. We think that the more we bring light to this issue, the more people are going to realize it and take it seriously. They're going to realize, you know what, 2 beers might make me a little bit tired. It might cause my judgment to change. I'm just going to play it safe and stay off the roads. If there's any doubt whatsoever, don't take the risk. And we want people to encourage their friends and their family that it's the right thing to do.
A new year in Alaska means eligible residents can start signing up for the 2013 Permanent Fund Dividend. The application process for PFD checks began January 1st and continues through March 31st. Now, people can sign up online or pick up forms at designated distribution centers. Alaskans received checks of $878 in October when the 2012 dividend was paid. The money for the PFD comes from investment profits from the state's oil wealth savings account. New residents must live in the state for a full calendar year to benefit from the permanent fund, which was established in 1976 after North Slope oil was discovered. The state began distributing dividend checks in 1982. Alaska has no income tax, but residents must pay federal state taxes on the payout. A renegotiated contract between the Fairbanks North Star Borough and the recently unionized managerial employees is set to save the borough money. The contract has been reworked to cost $167,000 less than the initial contract rejected by the Assembly. The tentative contract removes the retroactive pay increases rejected and still will require the Borough Assembly's approval. Prior to this, the 56 managers covered under the contract unionized after a last-minute pay freeze by the Assembly in 2011. Now, the Borough Assembly will review the financial terms of the new contract at its next regular meeting. However, tonight it will hold a work session on its ordinance at the Finance Committee. As of yesterday, health insurance policies in Alaska are required to cover the treatment of autism spectrum disorders. A portion of that bill, setting up a task force to study such things as state providing insurance coverage for autism, took effect earlier. During the legislative debate, for supporters cast the bill as a way to help children while also easing the financial and emotional strain that families face in getting treatment for autistic children. Some insurance companies opposed the measure, saying it was unfair to put the burden on private companies alone. Governor Sean Parnell let the bill become law without his signature. He cited the benefits of early diagnosis and treatment and said opponents didn't provide detailed analysis for their assertions that premium costs could rise 3% a year. A German Shepherd mixed breed dog is headed back to Fairbanks after undergoing surgery in Seattle. It's the first time the dog, whose name is Thor, has been able to open its mouth in 6 months. Now, Thor became a star through Facebook and was adopted by Alaska Airlines employees who helped get him to the doctor. He traveled last week on a flight from Fairbanks to Sacramento, California for oral surgery. Thor has a Facebook following with 18,000 likes through the page of the Arctic German Shepherd Rescues group. He underwent surgery for a locked jaw on Friday at Veteran Hospital in Sacramento. They expected to fly him back to Fairbanks as soon as today. Kaladi Brothers Coffee New Year's Day Giving Program raised $26,620 on January 1st. Most of the money will go to a local meals program run by Beans Cafe. This year, $12,604 was raised from customers in Anchorage and Wasilla, about $1,000 more than last year. That money was matched by a donation from the Alaska subsidiary of the Shell Oil Company. That will go to the children's lunchbox. In Soldotna, $885 was raised for Emergency Services Incorporated. The money will be used for Soldotna's Shop with a Firefighter program, where local children are given $100 budget to purchase gifts. Well, I'm alone here on the desk, and I don't know much about sports, but I know that Joe Cook does, and he'll be right back with your sports right after this break.
Brought to you by the Law Office of Rita T. Alley. Peace of mind through professional legal services.
Hello, Interior Alaska. This is Joe Cook here for you. Once again, the sports seat on this Thursday night. We got some sports for you, so let's get to it. Today was the start of the Mount McKinley Bank Holiday Classic hosted by the Monroe Rams and Boileau Hall. The first game was between the West Valley Wolfpack girls team and the Nome Nanooks. West Valley coming off the Doc Larson Roundball Classic tournament title game, lost to Wasilla. Respond in their second tournament of the year. They respond in a big way. Both teams would trade and one plays as Devin Johnson gave the Nanooks the lead 5-4, but that was the only lead they would have as Carly Marquez, she answered with an N1 play of her own, in which ignited a 24-0 run by West Valley. They led 28-5 midway through the second and took a 32-13 lead into halftime. Hannah Matson had 12 points at the half to lead the Wolfpack. Marina Washburn had a game herself, scoring 8 points in the third quarter alone. West Valley rolls 67-33. Coach Steve Kacheri talked about his team getting back in form.
You know, early on in the season, we always try to get team chemistry, so I involve a lot of kids early and then try to figure out what their best roles are, and that's what we're doing right now, and I can see it. I saw it in this game, a lot of great things. They were moving the ball really well, playing excellent defense. I'm very fortunate to have some very good guard play, and so I think that caused a lot of turnovers with Hannah and Carly. And then Caitlin Bryce did a good job of making them make the extra pass for us to get the steal for the turnover. So early on, we had some jitters. If you notice, we had some unforced errors, unforced turnovers, and as coaches in a team, we don't like to see that. But then the kids overcame and then stepped up and settled down and played very well.
And now other teams playing in the Mount McKinley Holiday Classic today are the Colony and Nome boys teams, the Lady Rams and Colony girls, and the Monroe and Lathrop boys teams. They go head-to-head in the last game of the night. We'll have more on all these games on tomorrow's Sportscast. Now, the Nanook skiing team is making some nice strides at the U.S. Nationals this week in Midway, Utah. On the men's skiing team, Logan Hanneman, the sophomore, was the only Nanook to represent in the top 20 of the U.S. Cross Country National Championships on Wednesday. Hanneman finished the 1.3-kilometer course in 2 minutes, 57.99 seconds. He advanced to the quarterfinal heat and placed fourth in the trials. Stefan Hadukovic did a good job in the junior division, finishing 9th overall after placing 3rd in the B final race. For the ladies, the veterans led the way. Senior Marit Robioff was 33rd overall, the highest for the Nanook women. Her 3-minute 40.41 seconds was quickly followed by junior Allison McFeeters. Her 3-minute 40.81 second time in the 1.3 kilometer race was her career best in the national championships. Well, the mushing season is here, a sport that this reporter is definitely interested in to learn more about. One of the first events of the year took place over the weekend, the inaugural Top of the World 350. 22 mushers participated, and all 22 finished the middle distance sled dog race. The out and back race was from Talk to Eagle, and it started on last Friday. This inaugural race was created in honor of Chief Isaac Jumby and Ellen Rada, Chief Jumby's sister. They passed away within days of each other back in July of 2011. A little quirk in this race was that for the first 175 miles, the mushers were not timed. The purse for this race was $4,600 paid to the top 10 finishers. Lance Mackey, who was a four-time Iditarod and Yukon Quest winner, won this inaugural race and received $1,600. Nicole Faley, Top of the World Rookie of the Year in her first race as she finished 5th. Amanda Gikas of Fairbanks finished 22nd. And finally tonight, we again announced the start of a new contest for the NFL playoffs, the KTVF Playoff Pick'em. The NFL playoffs are set, and if you pick the right winners all the way up into the Super Bowl, you will receive a special gift from KTVF for the big game. Submit your picks to my email or tweet me at KTVF Joe Cook or KTVF 11 Sports. Pick the correct teams to win the wild card games, the divisional rounds, and the conference championships. The person with the correct picks and best overall record will win the prize. Getting your picks before kickoff this Saturday to be eligible, go on webcenter11.com sports for more information. And that'll do it for sports tonight. Thanks for rocking with me for a little while. You can catch more KTVF Sports on YouTube, on the KTVF 11 Sports channel. Subscribe and watch for your sports updates. Follow us on Twitter at KTVF 11 Sports and KTVF Joe Cook. Stay cool, Alaska. Your full weather forecast is coming up next, and we'll catch you next time.
Well, not only is Daryl Clark off for tonight, but Mike Schultz is off for the day as well. So I'll be giving you all the weather details for Alaska and the lower 48. But first, let's take a look at our Fairbanks Almanac. Today, the sun rose at 10:50 a.m. and set this afternoon at 1 minute after 3 p.m. Now that gives us 4 hours and 6 minutes of daylight and an addition of 4 minutes from yesterday. And boy, it's good to add on those minutes. The normal temperatures for the day were 2 degrees and a low of minus 16 degrees. The record high was a warm 29 degrees set in 1968, and the low was a really cold 57 below zero in 1969, which seems to have been quite a cold year for our records. It's time now to take a look at our weather around the state. Let's start off right here in the interior. Fairbanks a warm 28 degrees under partly cloudy skies. Up north, Barrow was 1 degree under overcast skies. Fort Yukon is a cool 8 below for their Thursday. Over in Nome, Bethel, and Cold Bay, the temps are in the upper 20s and low 30s under partly cloudy skies. Over in the Anchorage Bowl, now that's the place to be as the sun is out in full swing and the temps are nearly 40 degrees. Time now to take a look at the lower 48 weather. Over on the East Coast, where I spent my holidays, the weather has turned around from severe winter storm warnings to partly sunny skies and temps in the upper 30s. In the South, Miami is spending their winters warm on the beach with a nice 82-degree high. In Minneapolis, they are seeing some snow and highs in the teens. Over on the West Coast, Seattle looks like it's under cloudy skies with rain showers and temps in the 40s. And Las Vegas has full sunshine and temps in the low 50s. Time to go back to Alaska to let you know what to expect for tomorrow. In the north, there will be blowing snow for Barrow with temps of minus 2 degrees. Scattered snow in Nome, temps in the mid-20s, and for Fort Yukon, they will see no precipitation and highs of minus 2 degrees there as well. In the interior, calm weather for us, no snow, temps in the single digits, and Denali Park Healy area can expect highs in the 20s for their Friday. On to southeast Alaska, they can expect, as Mike says, a mixed bag of weather with snow and rain for Juneau and Ketchikan. Temps in the upper 30s, low 40s for them. Southwest Alaska can also expect that mixed bag of weather with mixed showers in Cold Bay and Kodiak, and Bethel can expect about an inch of snow on their Friday. Lastly, it's still windy for Anchorage. There will be mixed showers in Homer, and finally, up to 3 inches of snow for Valdez. Well, it's time now for our Kids Weather Watch, and it's a weather fact. And it's a pretty neat one, if I do say so myself. On this day in 1777, George Washington flanked British troops thanks to a cold freeze. Now, many thanks to Mount McKinley Bank for our kids' weather. Next week, we will be with North Pole Elementary School. And it's time for our winter trails report. Warmer temperatures in the interior, well, that means great conditions for all outdoor activities. So get on out there and enjoy in Fairbanks because it looks like it may get a little more cold next week. Now, tonight our temperatures will range from 5 below to 15 degrees above zero with cloudy skies. And tomorrow, Friday, the start of our weekend, we can expect temps between 5 to 20 degrees and more clouds, but overall, a nice day to start our weekend. And let's take a look at our extended forecast. It looks nice. On Sunday, we can expect to see some snow, but it looks like starting next week, as I just said, we can expect to see our temperatures gradually go back down to sub-zero temperatures. All right, well, that will wrap up this edition of the Fairbanks Evening News. We're so glad you could join us. Tonight on NBC Nightly News, the first day on the job for the new Congress, and it's already making history. That's next with Brian Williams. Remember, you can join us here 6 days a week or online anytime at webcenter11.com or any of our Facebook pages. From all of us here at the News Center, we hope you have a good night.
Step into McShane's Carpets Plus. Ring in the new year with extraordinary savings on floors for every